internet. I'm Matt. And this is the Parallax Scrolling Podcast, where we give you our perspective on video games and the news that affects them. So, how you doing this week? Yeah? Uh-huh. Okay. But before we get too into anything else, just want to mention that if you're not hearing audio from Monsters, because he's not here. Psych. That's a stupid joke. A stupid bit. I know, but that's who I am. Monsters overloaded with work. And, so let me paint the scene for you, all right? There I am, standing on the mountaintop, long, flowing hair blowing in the wind. And Monster comes up to me and says, "Oh, Matt, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, there's just too much. Oh, could you just please, pretty please, just record this episode by yourself?" And I, with my big, rippling muscles, looked at him and said, "All right, I'll do this for you. For our fans. For the world." And then I flew off into the sun. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. No, seriously, though. Monster is really bogged down with work, so it's a Matt-only episode today, so buckle up, because I can ramble. I can rant and ramble and bunny trail and everything else till the cows come home. If you don't believe me, you can go watch some of my old videos on YouTube. Yeah. So I'll get into the news stories today in a little bit, but get you guys kind of caught up on what I've been playing since we last spoke. I know I said I was going to go back to Trek to Yomi, but I didn't. Honestly, I was really looking forward to playing a Kurosawa-styled samurai game. That was what I was really hoping to do. And it turned itself into, like, some weird Dark Souls game. Like, if I want to play a Dark Souls game, I want to play a Dark Souls game knowing what I'm going into right away. But you spend really the first 3 levels of that game just fighting samurais. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then spoilers, die in the story, and I wake up in the land of Yomi, which is filled with zombies and spider monsters and all this other weird stuff. And that's not what I was hoping to play. So I got discouraged. Instead, I ended up picking up a game called Tunic. I don't know if you've heard of that game. Really fun. Isometric action RPG, I guess would be the best way. I guess the best way for me to really truly describe this game to you without, like, spoiling everything is Tunic is to Legend of Zelda what Fez is to Super Mario Brothers. Meaning it is same type of genre, as in, like, Fez is a platformer with added aspects, compared to Super Mario Bros., which is a straight up platformer. Same thing with Tunic. Tunic is a exploration action RPG game like The Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda. But there's so much more. There's so much more to understand. And as you play through that game, you collect pages of the instruction booklet for the game, which is weird. But you start looking through the instruction booklet, and you realize 2 things. 1, it's written in a language that you don't understand. And 2, not only is it teaching you how to play the game, but there's also puzzles hidden in the instruction booklet to teach you how to play the game, like where to go and who to fight, what to find, stuff like that. Really cool concept. I really like that part. And I got the true ending, just because it was one of those matters of, I really wanted to finish the instruction booklet. I really liked the concept of it. And so in order to do that, I had to run all over the world and find the instruction booklet pages, and that requires a bit of mental gymnastics. And so I did that. But the problem for me was it got really heady. And like it's in your head. It requires a lot of out-of-the-box thinking. For example, in Fez, one of the answers to a puzzle requires you to rotate the world, which is the normal game mechanic, but you rotate the world in such a way that a QR code shows up on screen and you use your phone to find the answer. Not something you would normally think of doing in a game when you're playing it. Well, this game required me, a couple of the puzzles required me to, look through specific segments of the instruction booklet to determine a particular puzzle's answers. And in one of those particular puzzles within the puzzle required me to load a game save file that I didn't know existed. And it's just there when you load up the game, and it's really bizarre looking. So, yeah. A lot of it I ended up having to, use the internet to find the answers to. And my only other real complaint was there's a point in the game where you have to pass a trial. And you have to activate all these statues, and each statue has a certain amount of enemies you have to fight. The problem is the amount of that particular enemy that you fight can be anywhere from 2 to 10 times as many as you would normally fight in a room. And so it was really too much. And I had to put on the accessibility option because I would go through the statue in order, or I would kind of mix up the order, and I would always get down to the final statue. Before I could activate the final statue, I would die every time. So I finally had to turn on the accessibility options, which allowed me to be invincible and finish that particular puzzle. I mean, I turned it off afterwards, but that's just, I don't feel like I should have had to have done that. There should have been a better way to do that. I don't know. Maybe a boss rush. Like, one of the statues is a boss, but it's like double version of the boss. But maybe having like all the bosses I'd fought till that point, like one after another, that might have been better. But beyond that, the game's fantastic. The music feels good. The graphics are really pretty. Just the combat feels very good. And the controls feel like they respond well to me. And finding all the little extra gadgets and stuff to get me around the world was a really cool concept. I like them. I like that game. Very good. Probably won't go back to it. I don't think I have a need to go back to it, but that doesn't mean it's a terrible game and that you shouldn't play it. So if you can, pick up Tunic. After I beat Tunic, though, I did have a little bit of time. I picked up Power Wash Simulator. Much to Monster's chagrin, I picked up Power Wash Simulator. He laughs at me every time I mention it. It's good. It's a good game. You are a power washer with a power washer, and you clean anything. I started off cleaning a van. At one point, I ended up cleaning up a monster truck that had concrete poured on it. Like, it's good. It's a good game. You're not just cleaning vehicles, but you're cleaning buildings. You're cleaning all these weird structures. And the story, there's actually a story behind it all. Got to throw a shout out to Markiplier for that one, because I guess he kept trying to decipher all the random silliness in the game. And because you constantly texted every level by the person who hired you for that particular job. And so he kept trying to crack the code of the game. So much so that the developers are like, okay. And they made a little backstory. And it's really good. Like, everything connects. Every level is connected in some way. And it's just a really neat thing. And I don't know if I'm at the end or about to be at the end, but I'm getting close to the end of career mode. And I've cleaned some really weird things. And then there's bonus jobs, and there's a free play mode. And I think the best thing about this game is you can play it by yourself, but you can also play with other people. And that's what makes it more fun. So, Power Wash Simulator. Check it out. Beyond that, really not much else game-wise. So, let's get into the news, because it's already been 10.5 minutes of me rambling. I have 4 news stories I want to cover today. One is sad. One is silly. One is informative. And one is odd. So let's see, I had these in an original order, but I think I'm going to end with that one. We'll go to that one. We'll do it in that order. Okay, so first, I want to address this one. Let's deal with the sad. Let's get the sad one out of the way. All right. Famous, I would figure famous actor, but voice actor as well, especially for video games. Lance Reddick has passed away at the age of 60. It's kind of that's really surprising. Like, I'm close to that age, you know. I'm about a decade or so away, but I'm getting close to that age, and that's just a young age to leave this world, and I find that very sad. If you are curious, because you don't know who Lance is or what he's done, he has been. I think probably the 2 biggest roles I can correlate to him. He's obviously been in more, but I think the biggest ones for me are he's been in John Wick. He's the hotel concierge guy. If you've seen the movies, you know who I'm talking about. And he has been the voice of the Titans leader in Destiny 2. And it's just sad. It too young, left us way too soon. Rest in peace, Lance Reddick. You were amazing. Okay, so enough with the sadness. I don't have a segue that's good enough to get out of that, so I'm just going to leave him with the honor of that moment. So let's do the odd story next. And this one is odd mainly because of how different this game is being treated compared to other games from Bethesda. And that is Starfield. I don't know if you've heard about this recently, but Starfield is planning on coming out September 6th. But what's happened is over in Australia, the Australian Classification Board, the ACB, put out on their website what they rank the game as and why they ranked it that way. And so Starfield is going to be getting an R18 plus rating in Australia. That's equivalent to an AO rating here in America. And the only reason is apparently there is a high amount of drug use in the game. There is no inappropriate encounters, no unnecessary romantic encounters, very little nudity, language, and some of the themes in it are moderate, they've labeled it as. Strong amount of violence, which I would kind of figure, but that's just weird, especially considering, like, when you look at other Bethesda games, like the Fallout series, for example, they've not gotten the R18 plus scale, but you have like stims and you have like all these different items you use to just boost yourself, but they didn't get the 18 plus rating. I don't, so it makes me wonder, is it like an excessive amount in Starfield? Like, I kind of want to know more about what they saw in comparison to Fallout to make them warrant this rating. You know, but it's a weirdo. It just doesn't make sense. So Speaking of things that don't make sense, I got on the segue. That was a terrible segue noise. Anyways, this doesn't make sense, but it is cute and silly, and if you have not watched this yet, I highly encourage you to. Capcom releases on YouTube a little anime short for the upcoming Resident Evil 4 game. It's not what you think. And it is cute and it is silly, and oh my goodness, it's unsettling because of how cute it is. I'll leave it at that. But yes, definitely go check that out. I think that was it's only like a short, well, how long was it? Like a couple minutes? Like 4, I think. 4 at most? No, not even 4. It's not even a minute. Wow, I'm out of touch. Anyways, so it's not even a minute. It's worth your time. Go watch it. Obviously, go watch it if you're so inclined to handle mature rated games. If you're not, just avoid it because you won't get it and it might mess you up. So just figured it's little something I'd inform you on. Something fun to watch. Now, for my big piece, my piece de resistance. Bandai Namco has released what they consider the Battle Scars infographic. And I'm actually going to make some editing attempts here and get this into the video to show these to you. But they've basically put out, to celebrate Elden Ring, they've put out how many stats required for like deaths or fights and things like that. And I thought I'd go over them because I think they're very interesting. And probably the biggest one I'm going to start with is they put out the top 5 boss attempts. Like who in the game gets fought the most. All right. Out of nearly 6 billion with a B, 6 billion boss attempts. Number 5, Star Scourge Radahn. Number 4, Radagon at the Golden Order. Coming in at number 3, Limgrave Tree Sentinel. Rounding out the bottom at number 2, Margit the Fell Omen. And at the top of the charts, Melania, Blade of Mikola. It's cheesy, I know, I don't care. Yeah, so as you can probably see, because again, I'm going to try to put these in the podcast episode on YouTube. Star Scourge Radahn, 139 million attempts. Radagon, 148 million attempts. That's just attempts, that's not successes. So it's even less people who've actually beaten the game. Limgrave Tree Sentinel, 277 million. Margit at 281 million, it looks like. I haven't zoomed it in enough. And Melania, the hardest boss in the game, at number 1 with 329 million. You know those numbers are heavily skewed. That number 1 spot is heavily skewed by a gentleman by the name of Let Me Solo Her. You know it. You have to know it. Because there's no way only 148 million people have gotten to the end of the game. Only 281 million people have gotten to Margit, who's one of the very first bosses in the game. And yet 329 people have fought Melania? No. There's like one person, and he's done it a lot. So, that's an interesting note. Next one is causes of death in the game. There have been over 9 billion, again with a B, 9 billion deaths in the game so far. I kind of question these because so 69% are by enemies and NPCs, 15% are by status effects, being poison, scarlet rot, blood loss, frostbite, you name it. Only 14% of people have fallen to their death. And this is the one that makes me question things. 2%. The final 2%, you were killed by another player. I don't believe that for a second. I believe that this is, you died to a status effect caused by another player. You fell to your death because another player made you fall off. You died to some enemies because another player brought them in to kill you. That's more accurate. To say that only 2% of them were actually killed by another player? No. That number's way higher. So, let's just throw that out there. This is actually like kind of a encouraging sign, though. Summons. Over 1 billion summons in the game have been made. Only 12% of them have been for invasion. 88% of the people playing the game have chosen to rather help each other than hurt each other. I think that's good. Good job, guys. Keep going. Okay, and then we have the top 5 spells that were cast. We got Rotten Breath at 5, Great Blade Phalanx at 4, Glintstone Pebble at 3, Crystal Torrent at 2, and Rock Sling at number 1. Now, that surprises me because I would have figured Comet of Azure would have been like way up here somewhere. But, what do I know, right? And lastly, with the top 5 most acquired incantations, number 5 was Bestial Vitality. Number 4 was the Flame of Frenzy. Great spell. Number 3 is Golden Vow. Number 2 is Bestial Sling. I like that one too. And number 1 coming in at Blessing of the Erd Tree, because it is so stinking powerful. It's just really good. What do you think? How do you feel about these charts? Let me know in the comments down below. Just let me know about any of these things I've talked about today in the comments down below. Beyond that, I kind of really don't have much more. I know we tend to make longer episodes, but you know, since I don't have somebody stealing my segues and giving up another opinion to extend the conversation, I think I've done enough. Almost 25 minutes, so I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm expecting a lovely phone call or something from Monster here in the near future. So yeah, fun times. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please, help us out, support. Let us know if you liked it. Please hit the like button. The more of you who like it and actually hit the button lets us know that we're doing it right. If the episode kind of stinks, and we don't get enough likes on it, then that gives us an idea of what to change. So, if you're first time listening and you want to hear more about what we're doing, please check out any of the other videos in the playlist or our channel. And you can also subscribe to find out when we're going to rant and rave next. So, I'm off to go do whatever I need to do for the rest of the week. Y'all have a good one, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the near future. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.